Coming up, we'll give you the inside scoop on this year's homecoming parade. And later, we'll tell you about this week's Kid Captain.
Hey, Kate, something's missing.
Yeah, Zach, it's the Iowa offense.
Stay tuned to see what we find later in sports.
We're jumping back into the 60s and another rainy game day on Saturday. More to you on this wild weather in just a bit.
All that and more coming up on this morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere, DITV News starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Grace Aldrin. If you're looking to drive in this evening, you may want to alter your plans for the homecoming parade. The parade will start tonight at 5:45 on Washington and Gilbert Street. The parade will head down to Washington onto Clinton and then head down to Jefferson Street, down to Buke, and will end on Iowa Avenue and Gilbert Street. There are expected to be 15,000 spectators, so be sure to get early to get your spot. This year's Grand Marshal is former Iowa basketball star B.J. Armstrong. The Iowa Corn Monument has returned to the Penacrest for homecoming. This year's monument honors Iowa football legend Niall Kinnick with a giant number 24 jersey constructed out of corn cobs. This year's theme celebrates the 80th anniversary of Kinnick Heisman's Trophy win in 1939. The monument was designed by UI student engineers and consists of over 400 pounds of corn kernels. Make sure to stop by the Penacrest and check out this year's monument before it's gone. Moving to international news, yesterday, President Donald Trump announced that the United States has reached a ceasefire agreement with Turkey to allow Kurdish forces to retreat. This comes on the heels of Trump ordering the U.S. forces to withdraw from the country, leaving the Kurdish troops without support. After the Kurdish forces are
during that 5 days, the Kurds and other people they're going to be taken great care of. They're going to be moving around, moving out of a safe zone, which is something that Turkey has always wanted.
After the Kurdish forces are cleared from the safe zone, Turkey has said that they will commit to a permanent ceasefire. Sticking with the Trump administration, Energy Secretary Rick Perry is reportedly on his way out. Sources say that Perry notified President Trump on Thursday that he plans to resign. There is no word on why Perry is leaving. He recently came under scrutiny over his role in President Trump's dealings with Ukraine. The White House says President Trump asked Perry to work with his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, on Ukraine-related matters, but the administration denies that move constituted a shadow foreign policy. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty chilly, so we're going to toss it over to weather with Cole.
Thanks, Grace. For this next 5 days, the weather is shaping up to be a little bit of a roller coaster. Today, we'll go back to some of those warm and sunny days with a high of 68 and a bit of sunshine. But this morning, it'll stay around 54 or 54 for this evening, and we'll have a 70% chance of rain on Saturday. And we have a high of 62 down into the lows of 40s. And the last day of sunshine will be in the mid-60s as we'll have to move back through the 30s with the 50s and a pretty high chance of rain on Monday before leaving us in the highs with 60s and lows on Tuesday. Homecoming still... We'll have some good weather with the temps approaching the 60s and rain staying away. Looking forward to tonight, we'll be sitting in the mid-50s with some cloud cover and no rain. For the game on Saturday, I'd recommend breaking out those black and gold ponchos, though, and back to you, Grace.
Thank you. Juul, the leading e-cigarette company in the U.S., will stop selling players that critics say are popular with young vapers. Only tobacco and menthol flavors will remain for sale in retail stores in states that still allow the sale of vaping products. Juul's mango cream, fruit, and cucumber flavors have already been removed from the online store. Flavor pods will continue to be sold outside of the U.S. Juul also recently announced it was suspending all broadcast, print, and digital products advertising in the U.S. amid health concerns. Another game day means another kid captain. This week's kid captain is Kendra Hines. Hines was diagnosed with Down syndrome before she was born, but Hines was also diagnosed with subglottic stenosis, where her airway narrows and can be potentially life-threatening. Hines also has tracheostomy, where she has soft, floppy trachea cartilage. She manages her symptoms through treatment from the Stead Family Children's Hospitals. We're excited to see you out on the field at the game tomorrow, Kendra. Speaking of the game, let's toss it to sports with Zach and Cade.
Yeah, that's right. A big homecoming game this Saturday, and the Hawkeyes have lost 2 straight games and are now going up against an opponent who's beaten them 2 years in a row.
On top of that, the Purdue Boilermakers lead the all-time series 48-38, including a 20-game stretch where Purdue won all of them.
And with Iowa's offense struggling to do anything against Big Ten opponents, we look towards the offensive line for answers.
We have sports reporter John Rawson live in the newsroom to tell us more on the O-line. John, what has happened to the O-line the past couple of weeks?
Well, frankly, they got exposed by Jim Harbaugh. He looked at what teams had done prior, saw nobody blitz that heavily, and went out guns a-blazing and sacked Nate Stanley time and time again. And then James Franklin took that same exact model. He then applied it, and Iowa has yet to handle it. The offensive line has allowed as many sacks so far this year as they did all of last season. So it's safe to say the pass blocking isn't there. A lot of people try to say it's Alaric Jackson's return and they're a little discombobulated chemistry-wise. Frankly, it's just teams have figured them out now.
Overall, as a unit, getting the small details together, we haven't been as sound and clean the past 2 weeks. I would put on the chemistry as well, but it's all on us up front.
Yeah, it's good.
Now, John, how can the Hawkeye offense adapt to the ailing line?
Well, they have to throw more screen passes. That's the biggest thing. If they can throw more screen passes, shuffle out to the sides, they'll have a lot more open field for guys like Mekhi Sargent and Tyler Goodson. They haven't used their playmakers as much. But if they can give Nate Stanley time to throw, Brandon Smith will make those plays. We saw that against Penn State. Give them time, let him make those plays. But they're going to have to use the screen pass so the offensive line doesn't have to hold against a bull rush or 6 extra guys coming at them.
Thanks, John. The Purdue defense isn't as well-rounded as Penn State or Michigan, but they're going to have some challenges for the Iowa offense.
And with Nate Stanley getting sacked more than groceries at the store, the opponent's D-line is always on the mind.
They're big, they're physical, they have the possibility to do a lot of different things. At third down, they do a lot of exotic things. So, just do a lot of things to try to confuse the offense.
And one thing that Iowa needs to improve on is their red zone offense. Even though kicker Keith Duncan has been lights out with his leg, if the Hawks want to win more games, it's time to start scoring touchdowns instead of field goals.
Definitely, extremely frustrating seeing. We know how good we are. We know how hard we've worked this past year, and having a team move the ball pretty well and then struggle to get in the end zone could definitely be frustrating at times, but we have to put that behind us and move forward and just be ready to overcome that and get in the end zone this week.
And despite the offense having trouble scoring points, the defense has their back both on the field and in the locker room.
Like I said last week, it's a team sport. You can't say we're one side was doing good, one side wasn't. It's not like that at all. I mean, if the defense played better, then we would have won the game. But at the same time, it's definitely a team sport. So this week we're trying to play as a team and move forward.
And the one thing the defense can do a little better at this week is creating turnovers. Iowa's defense has a total of 7 turnovers this year, and none of them have been during the loss.
So this week we're definitely going to be excited because we know to beat us, they're going to have to throw the ball and get easy points on us. So it's definitely going to be a big opportunity for us to get some interceptions this week.
The defense has been strong all year, and that shouldn't change this Saturday when they take on the Boilermakers.
All right, Kate, it's time for predictions. I think the Hawks will take another L tomorrow and lose this contest 17-14.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic and say the offense figures things out. The Hawkeyes will come out on top 31-7. Thank you for tuning in to our pregame show. Grace, what's your prediction?
I'm always rooting for the Hawks. Pregame might be finished, but we still have some football left in today's broadcast. Some say NFL football inspires religious devotion. A church in a Prairie Village, Kansas, is proving that point this weekend. Sunday's service at Asbury United Methodist Church is going to feature a healing prayer for injured Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has lost some of his football magic since injuring his ankle more than a month ago. This church is full of Chiefs fans, and they're now praying for a little divine intervention. Unfortunately, Thank you and goodbye. That's all we have for you today.